Before we start, I need to make a motion that we add to the agenda election of a chair and vice chair for next year.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye. We can add that to the end, I guess.
Okay, our first item is the approval of the October meeting minutes because we tabled it last month. We're going to be tabling the November minutes because they're not available online. Any discussion?
I move we approve them as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Oops.
And so we'll approve the November ones at next meeting,
Correct.
along.
Next on the agenda is the financial report.
Yeah, so I spoke to Joy, and we're good on everything for the rest of the year. One thing I would like to report is we did look at the bond, and they were able to reduce it from 2.95 to 1.75% for both water and sewer. So that'll be good over the next 12 years of paying.
Next 12 years, it'll be over. That's good. Did she have any amount that it would save us for doing that? No?
No, we actually just done this.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the financial reports?
Make a motion to accept the October financial.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is the old business, water and wastewater specifications update.
So Kim and I had a meeting with Chris Engineering, who's preparing our new updates with our water wastewater specifications. We had some shortcomings in the one that was done from 2015. Basically, it's our concern regarding low pressure force mains and individual grinder pumps. It was going to be somewhat of really just an amended or a revised document. We've experienced some problems with trying to get some documents through just because of our planning commission and the various developers that have to review it. So what we want to kind of drop back and do is just make some amendments to it regarding definition of the low pressure grinders so that we can kind of eliminate how many of those are getting built out there, because that seems to be a major concern for all of us. So we did our first little draft review of some of that. It'll probably be after the first of the year before we're kind of ready to put that in front of you guys and kind of show you the highlights of what the changes and recommend the changes are. So I'd look for that for maybe January or February.
Next under old business is the North Lake force main status.
So likewise, Chris Engineering is also working on that. If you guys need an update of what that entails, it's basically designing or doing some conceptual designs of regional lift stations in the North Lake area, which will have a plan, a concerted plan, so when developers come through and look at where they're going to put subdivisions and stuff like that, they will pay to be part of those regional, and then they'll build the collection systems that will go to them. We're still probably a third of the way into the process. Chris had the original plan from 2008, which still seems to be kind of good, but they're starting to refine that. So that will probably come after the first of the year too. We're looking January, February on those type things too.
Okay, and the Leah Circle wastewater capacity study.
Yeah, just a reminder, we have a 24-inch gravity line that comes underneath the railroad track that traverses Leah Circle, that comes into the plant, that has the whole northwest, whole north central part of the city that comes through it. It has some flow issues, and so we still got quite a bit of capacity left in it, but we're looking out to say, hey, look, we're going to have to build something new here. And we need to do that sooner than later. So we're looking at it like a 2 to 3 or 4 year project to get that in place. So we're starting the design work now. Once again, we're moving into what it needs to be, where it needs to be, and so we may have to have some new right-of-way. We'll have to have another boring underneath the railroad. Those things take a year to do, just right out of the gate, even if you're lucky. So we're kind of at the early stages of it, but it's got a high priority. So, we're still in preliminary engineering on that.
One of the main time frames is getting approval from the
From the,
railroad.
when we get to where we know where it's gonna do, we'll submit that
Okay,
first.
okay.
We've got contacts with Union Pacific, we got a new and better relationship with Union Pacific these days. So, although, I will say, with the experience of building the Parkway, that they've, Mr. McIntyre's bridge is really slow to come because they've approved the design of the bridge, but what they call their construction and maintenance contract is taking 6 months for what their review time. So anything you're dealing with in a railroad, even if you're ready to go, it may take you 18 months to get it, even with the best of relationships.
So you're saying from the time that you get the plan ready and submit it, it'll take a year to get approval,
Yes.
probably?
It will take a year, at least.
Are notoriously slow.
Mhm.
Okay, any questions under the old business? Next is the new business, and there's nothing listed under that.
We're gonna do their presentation.
Oh, okay, I need
Now.
a
Motion to suspend the rules and add that to the agenda.
second. Second, okay.
Oh, yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a presentation from Metron.
So I'd like to introduce the company Metron Farnier, hard to say when the name's the same thing. So this is John and Ted. You guys have asked us to start looking around for different services. These guys reached out to us and did a presentation. It seems fairly impressive. Obviously, we're still in very early stages, but they asked to present to you guys, so we certainly invited them out.
All right. Thank you for having us here. My name is John Christensen. I work with Metron for about 5 years now. And what we have, big picture, is a register that is a Verizon register. So it's cellular there. And we've got a full line of water meters. They go from residential 5/8 all the way up to 8-inch. And this register is reading the meter every 1 minute, and it's sending all that data once a day over Verizon's network to a cloud-based database that the utility can pull down on WaterScope, which is their own unique internet portal. Okay, so you get all the reads, all the leak notifications, any flag, you know, like high usage, unauthorized use, all that kind of stuff, through WaterScope. There is no new infrastructure to install whatsoever. This meter has a register on it. I'm just holding this one for display purposes. So this is a completely self-contained meter with register. You install it today, you read it tomorrow. I am the regional manager. The regional manager for Oklahoma and Arkansas, so if you guys end up going with us down the road, I would be the guy that would come in and help you install. I do all the training, the office training, the field training. We have a tablet application as well that you can use out in the field that has a infrared eye that you can change the programming. This register can be used on any of the meters.
So you can take this off if it quits reading, send it a message, and put it back on and leave the meter.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes. That top housing is just held on by 2 screws.
Yeah.
Pop out those 2 screws, put a new one in, yeah.
And the same register works for any size meter as well.
Yeah.
And if you've got a competitive brand meter, that same register works on an existing meter if we were to put that register on an old meter.
That would,
Yeah, so you
that
only have
record can be
one
put on
part number.
existing meters that we have now?
It can, yeah. Or it goes on any of our meters, 5/8 all the way up to 8-inch. We just changed what we call the interface ratio. Obviously, 1 revolution of the magnet of a residential meter is a lot less water than 1 revolution of the magnet for an 8-inch meter, say. But we just have to change the index ratio, and then it measures the water accurately. Ted spoke up. I brought a couple of guys with me. Ted Worth is my boss, my manager. He's been with Metron for 28 years now. And I also brought a Verizon rep, your Verizon rep, Chris King. So, these guys have heard from me. I'd like you to hear from Ted Worth. And he's got our, the internet portal pulled up.
Hope you'll be okay if I just sit here?
Sure.
On the computer from here. So, I'll go a little more detail. I know, I kind of have a little background on what y'all are doing. You guys had the Mueller system, and I dealt with Mueller. I've actually lost some business to Mueller, and I got it back afterwards. There's been some issues with getting reliable reading efficiencies in, and some of the things that go along with having a mesh network. So I kind of understand some of the stuff that you're doing. What we're doing that's a lot different is every register has its own cell modem in it. It turns on, like you said, once a day, and it connects directly to a tower, okay? When we do the installation of the meter, we know 100% that we've got it talking to the network. So when the guys come in and do their installation of the water meters, there's a little button that they're going to push, and they're going to watch the numbers that come off, and it gives you a confirmation that it talks to the network. We know what the signal strength is, we know what kind of noise levels there are. We're going to know if it's going to work right away. So reading efficiencies on these things, you guys have what, 9,000 meters in that ballpark? 8,300. So you might be looking at 5 to 10 meters that you might have to manually read for one reason or another. Some of it might be because somebody parked a car over it or something like that. I've got some accounts where we don't have any misses in the month at all. But in terms of being able to go out and get a reliable reading each month with a cellular-based system, we found it's been optimal for this kind of application. And we've done a lot of the background as far as trying to do analytics and helping the customers out, help you guys out as far as dealing with customer issues that might come up, high bills, do they have a leak, things of that nature. So there's a lot of data that I will show you here in a bit that backs up how all this equipment works out in the field. Okay? So I'll log into one of my accounts. They're about half y'all size, a little less than that.
Did you bring any brochures or anything?
Everything we've got is web-based. I can get you whatever y'all need, but we have a system status in this particular route. Here's an example, 2,440 meters in this route. The billing reads are 2,440 with no missing reads for this particular route, okay? The billing read is defined as something between 0 and X number of days. Most AMI companies are putting some sort of a window, so if the read is 2 days old or 3 days old, it's still acceptable for getting your bill out. If you want to set it at 1 day, you can set it at whatever you want. Typically, I'll default it out at like 3 days, and we're going to see how the system works, and make any adjustments as we need as the monthly reads start coming in. This is just an example of how you come in and see what your system's doing. So every day, what happens is we collect 1 minute data interval data for everybody's water meter that's out in the system. All that information is stored locally in the register, and then when the device turns on, we do one transmission up to the cloud. And essentially, it's like a text message. So this meter will come on in the front yard or wherever these meters are located one time a day, and it takes less than about 20 seconds for the transmission to take place. So it turns itself on, talks to the tower, sends its information up, listens for any information back from us that we might be doing, and then it shuts itself off. And then the following morning when you come in, all of the analytics that we're going to be looking for. Did you have a backflow? Did you have a toilet leak? Did you have a new leak that just popped up yesterday? A lot of different things that we're going to be doing every day when the information is transmitted up. So when you come into your office, in your email, you're going to have reports from our system that says what's going on. And we're not talking about going out and fixing a meter because it's not reading. We're talking about, is there a leak out there or something that's actionable that you want to go help the homeowner with? And so you're going to have a lot more data at your disposal to see what's going on out in the system every day. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to, we only set it up if you need it. So there'll be notifications that come into the inbox, but it's not for everything. It's only going to be certain thresholds or certain alarm set points that create something that Tim's guys or Tim's going to be interested in taking a look at during the next day. So I'm going to just force what we do manually. We have all these conditions that we monitor for, leaks, new thresholds, etc. threshold leak is nothing more than what we call, it's a minimum threshold that you guys can put in. So I'm looking for, there were 18 meters in this particular batch, and the highest one was .92. So these are leaks that exceed a quarter gallon per minute in this particular system. That was the set point that they did. So any alarm, any water meter that doesn't go to zero and is at a quarter gallon per minute or greater for 24 hours, at each one of those 1 minute intervals, it's going to send out a flag. Then you can come in and dive into it and see what's going on. And every one of these, you're going to have a log like this. It defaults at a week, but you can also go out and look at a single day if you want to get more resolution. You can go out to a month. And you can see little events that take place. If you want to see what's going on, so let's just say somebody calls up and customer service and they're saying, you know, I just had the bill come in, it doesn't make sense to me. You have the ability now to come in and take a look at an actual graph. And we're not talking about consumption in hourly buckets. I'm talking about what's actually taking place out in the field at this particular house. And you can see this event started at 11:02 at 8:25 in the morning. It's 11 gallon per minute flow. That could be any number of things. Typically, we see these things on older homes. It might be a toilet fixture. You might see an older house that's running 7 to 10 gallons per minute on a toilet. If it's a newer fixture, you might be looking at 2 or 3 gallons per minute. It just kind of depends. But these things are intervals. And if you go back over time, you'll see that the house will have this happen periodically throughout the course of the month. And without this kind of data at your disposal, all you see is a big blip of consumption that comes in on your hourly report that you're getting now from the Mueller system. Or you're just going to see a total consumption for the 30-day window and see that it went up. Now you're going to be able to go in and identify things. We also, let me back out and go a little more detailed. So I have 1 minute information now that it's at my disposal, and let's. So now I break it down into how people are using. This particular guy has 45% of his use as a leak. So not only do you guys have access to it and the utility have access to it, but the homeowner has access to it as well. So everybody can log in and register for their own specific meter, or if they're a property owner, they can group their meters together and get in and log and look at them all the same. Same with the school board, things like that. They can group them together, get in and see what's going on. And it breaks out how people are using their water. We have a little tab over here called residential analysis. Now this is how people are using their water. So our engineering team has collected data and massaged it such where we can tell what the flow profile looks like as far as the data goes and how that turns out into how it's being used at the house. So in this particular case for the day, it was 5 gallons of sink use, 6 gallons of kitchen use, 16.5 gallons or so of shower use, 108 gallons of toilet. He's using 100 gallons of irrigation. So now you see what we're doing. And you got 200 gallons of a leak, okay, in a day.
How do you determine shower usage, water usage? How do you, toilet?
It's took a lot of work. What we ended up doing initially when we did all this is we started putting meters out in homes all over the place, and they data log for us. So everybody would say, here's what's going on. You know, I had it on my house. My wife hated me for a couple of months, but she had to log every time she used the shower, the dishwasher, used the toilet. Anyway, so everybody was doing this, and we collect the information, we send it back to our engineering team, and they're able to take, because I can take a graph, and because I've been doing this for a long time, I can get a pretty good idea visually of what's going on. But it was
it's
difficult.
still an estimation, basically, right?
If you have concerns, whether it's accurate, the homeowner can tweak it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have things that we don't know what it is, it's called other. And if you know what the other is, you can go into your mobile app and go in and log in and say, we know what this is.
Okay.
And I do a lot of work out in some rural areas, and there's a lot of hog watering, and there's just things that normally don't take place in a normal home on a residential meter. So we've had to add some stuff to accommodate for some of the things that.
So now, if we have a toilet leak, do we have the capability before they
log on somewhere or whatever, to send them a message, to
Absolutely.
let them know,
Yep.
or send whoever.
Yeah, see, the neat thing about this is I can either send the alerts to him, or we can send them to the homeowner. So when most
Can we do
people are
both?
adopting this, right?
Can we do
you do
both?
a text or an email to the property owner if you sign them up that way. So when people are doing this and doing the transition, they try to collect a phone number, a cell number, and they try to collect an email number. And then these alerts can automatically go out to the customer if you want them to. And the customer has, once he gets his first bill, there'll be a VNID, which is our virtual network, or Verizon network cell device. It'll have a 7-digit number on it, and then they'll have the account number that comes in off the bill. They can go in, log into that, and there's a place to register their own meter. And if they have multiple meters, they can also add additional meters to the.
To answer his question, so it goes to the homeowner and it goes
It
to,
can go to however you guys
both
define it.
places?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's all definable, because I have certain utilities, they absolutely do not want any of this information going to the customer. Okay, and it's a utility decision or a city decision. For me, I love the fact that I have something that I can push out to the public, and they have the ability to, at that point, go fix the problem. And just, when you see something like this, at 40% of your bill is gonna be a leak, and you see how many gallons it is, and you multiply it times 30 days, is it worth calling a plumber? And that's where this actionable threshold stuff came from. We had some utility directors come back to us and say, because with the technology the way it is now, you might have a leak that's 0.002 gallons per minute. Try to find it, you can't. And it also takes forever to get a billing unit out of it. So they came back and said, hey, can you guys put some other numbers in there to help us limit what the actual leak is so that customers won't be chasing their tails? And so we came back and added these parameters where you can actually change the set points on what's going to trigger an email or the flag itself.
Well, see, if it's going to both places, and let's say a leak starts on Friday afternoon, right after we close,
Exactly.
and it's a holiday Monday, they get 3 days notice there, basically. That would,
But you're saying we have to select that as an option for it to go to them as
It depends how
well?
you guys want to do it. I've got customers who send out a letter when they adopt the program, right? They'll send it out and say, everybody has access to registering their own meter, and there's directions on how to do it. We go to a video on our website that explains exactly how to register the meter and do what we're talking about here from a unique customer, just 1 meter at a time. So it depends on how you guys want to do it. My suggestion is that you send a letter out, talking about what the project's going to do,
Okay.
what's entailing. You're going to go out, shut a meter off for a couple of minutes, put a new one back in. Not going to have to, most of your meters, I would assume, are outdoors, correct? So you don't have to go in schedule any indoor appointments or anything like that. So it's a pretty timely, it doesn't take very long to make one of these changes, is where I'm heading with this. And then as soon as they get the meter, if you guys want to give them access to the data, they have full access to everything we're showing here on their one specific meter. We've added some other little things too, like pipe bursts. So we've had some meters where they're indoors, up in the Northeast, and the meter was breaking. And like you said, let's just say that they don't know what was going on. It's waste till the water comes flowing out their front door or out the basement or something. So we added what we call an emergency broadcast. So if the pipe bursts and a certain amount of volume of water goes through the meter or exceeds a certain GPM, it automatically turns on and immediately sends a text to the homeowner.
It doesn't shut the water flow off though, I guess?
No.
Okay, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that,
In some respects.
we all have a device that does that, but you can't put them everywhere, there's too
Well,
expensive.
right. Now, just one other question about the alerts you were talking about. Do the alerts say you have a leaky toilet, or what does the alert say? You just have a leak?
Yeah, we've taken we don't want to be that specific.
Okay.
And so it will tell you that you have a threshold leak, or you exceed a certain, it'll be something that's meaningful to the homeowner.
But you can actually look, if you know what you're looking for, and kind of determine
Yep.
whether it's toilet or something
Yep.
else. Okay.
You said this downloads once a day,
It does, it stores all the information.
let's say that, you said if somebody parked over to something that could download, how many days will it hold the data,
It's
or do you
111
lose
days.
it?
111 days.
Okay.
And so we always laugh, come back and, you don't have your network up in 111 days. Yeah, we're in trouble. So I've done a lot of work down in South Florida where we had the hurricanes and so forth, and I gotta tell you, working with Verizon has been just, you guys probably have a good experience so far with the Verizon folks. But they've been great for us. They've been able to get networks back up. They'll roll out generators. We've had horrible hurricanes come through, and a couple of days later, we're up and running, and we're able to get the information
How long does the data stay in the system?
indefinite.
Okay.
We put a window on it in a couple of years, but data's so cheap to store for us that we don't have a window on it now.
Okay. And have you looked at our service area to see that we've got good coverage everywhere?
Yeah, John does that. That's one of the first things we none of us want to do a project where we don't have good coverage, okay? So we look at that up front. We refer back to the experts with Verizon, and they confirm. I can actually take a lap lawn from any place here. They can give me like a 3-foot elevation of what the Cat-M signal strength's going to be for anywhere. So I've had some people say, hey, I want to run a report for all of my meters, and we'll send it back to these guys. The network guys do their magic, and I'll get a report that says yes on every account, you know. So we have more trouble in the rural areas where it's, we're talking few and far between with the towers. You guys have no problem with coverage down here whatsoever.
You said there's a module to add that you could do a disconnect on there. If you had a situation where it was way out in a common disconnect, you could.
Yeah, if you have we find that like there's some places where people are moving in, moving out all the time, and sometimes they just don't pay their bills on time, okay? And it's the same household or something like that. Should you want to do it, it's an integral device like this. It's got a water meter built in, and then we turn it on and off. He'll just log in and turn them on and off. If they come in and pay the bill, he can override the command, and it'll turn itself back on. And it wakes up after we send the command to shut it off. It'll wake up once an hour or once every 2 hours, listening for a command from my side saying, hey, we want to turn it back on. So we're looking at a 1 to 2 hour window to get them turned back on.
So right now, we don't have that capability. We got to send a body out to,
We have to send somebody out to shut off and off the meter.
I work in the electricity world, and we have that now, and it's been a huge man-hour saver in certain situations.
And we run into places where they purposely put dogs, back around the meter, or they've got a big fence. They just have it so you can't get back there. And those are certain cases where they're doing it on purpose, right? And so you have an option now that is a one-off, where you buy a handful of them and you just have them at your disposal. If you have to go install one, you can. But you do have the ability to remotely turn them on and off.
But that one would replace the one you showed us earlier.
Yeah,
In other words,
it fits
two
in the same
separate-
lay length, so there's no modifications to the setter. You're just gonna pull one meter out and slap
And
this
slap
one back
that
in,
one in.
and then whoever's doing the billing will just update the serial number to the new serial number.
You said that it's stored every minute it stores a reading.
Yep.
For a 24-hour period, and
Yep.
then once they upload it. It uploads every minute's reading?
It does.
Okay,
It just
so-
sends up that packet of data, and it just sends it all up, and then if it missed a day, let's just say it filled up with water, and for some reason it just didn't transmit, right? So the next day that it reaches and talks to the network, the Verizon tower, if you're sitting there watching it, you'll see a code 001, which says, hey, that's 1 bucket, 1 day's worth of transmission made it back to the network. If you watch it and miss 2 days, you'll see 2 code 001s. So if I'm out doing troubleshooting on one that hasn't worked for a while, I go out and change an antenna. We've had them with mice or something. We'll get in and chew the coax or something, and we had to replace an antenna. So we put the new one on. We did the daily transmission. We forced it to chirp, and it sent up 2 weeks of data. So you don't lose any data. So theoretically, when you put this thing in the ground, you're going to have you're going to be able to seamlessly look at all that information up on the cloud. Now, let's just say that one of these things had they fail or somebody vandalized it or something like that. When you go to change the meter out, you have the ability to take all the data from that old meter number that was in there, and we push it over to the new one. So not only do you not lose data, it's just seamless. So when the customer logs in, all of his login credentials stay with that site. So you could have 5 different serial numbers, and the guy's not going to have to go back in and re-register his meter. It's going to stay with that account.
Would those be things that our men would have to be trained to be able to do that?
On the transfer part, yes.
Okay. So
And it's
How long have you had the system?
we've been doing, I'll give you a little history. We started with 2G stuff about 8 years ago. And the 2G had some limits. One, we didn't control the network, nor did Verizon. There was a variety of towers and so forth out there. Distances were issues. just the speed and the connection time to make the connection made it so that the batteries didn't last long enough to really justify the ROI here, right? So then we came out with the 4G network, and the 4G was great, because it's, it's LTE product. But again, it was a little bit of a battery hog. We were getting 13 to 15 years out of the battery on the regular 4G system. When we switched to the Cat-M about 3 years ago, now we're looking at a calculated life of like 22 and a half years on the battery. Very efficient. It talks to their network quickly, it connects, and it disconnects very quickly. And so the power management and all the things that the Cat-M provides us, it's where it's called machine-to-machine communication. So it's low power, but it transmits up to like 16 miles up to a tower. So if you're doing a diameter around the radius around your tower, one tower might be talking to within all the meters within this, and then they may overlap. So, but that's what we found, is that the coverage from the Cat-M, I had to some accounts where, let's just say, 1 or 2% of them they weren't coming in every day. And as soon as we swapped them over to the Cat-Ms, because they were reaching out further from the tower and be able to talk to them, I got all those transmissions coming in. So it's very difficult for me to find a place in the U.S., especially in a city like this, where I cannot get them to work. Now there's a question that I don't know the answer to yet, but we've learned our lesson that we like to have composite lids. Do you have composite lids out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is 99% of the reason that you won't get efficient reads out of a cellular system. So if you guys already have that, you already have the 2-inch holes? Oh, beautiful. So we would retrofit the meter that's in the ground, place ours back in. It's got a cable like this. Does it have a recess in it? Your lids? It doesn't need one, but if it does, it just sits down a little flusher. So, but this, it fits in the same hole. The whole process would be, if nothing's gonna break in the setter, we're looking, what, 3-4 minutes to swap a meter? Takes longer to do the paperwork than it does to change the meter out.
What's your main failure for the system? I mean, surge?
On my 4G stuff, I had some EMF issues from lightning storms. We figured that out and corrected it, and I since the Cat-M came out, we haven't had a single EEPROM issue with the EMF issue. So now it's going to be a manufacturing defect or solder may fail, something like that. We've had some displays go out. They still work, they still transmit, and you're still able to pull data in the field, but you might not be able to read the screen. I've had a few of those. I've had some kids that go out with a hammer and think they're messing with it,
I think we have some repeaters around that we have to use for our current meter system. Is that something we'll have to continue using for this, or is this going straight cellular?
No, see, this is what you mentioned earlier. There's zero infrastructure. So it's a water meter and his tower. That's all we're doing. And the mesh network where you're trying to repeat a signal from, it's just tough to do. It works in the electric world because everything's above ground. It's much more difficult to get a repeating signal from a water meter pit up to the repeater and then back. I mean, we tried it years back, and it's just hard to do.
What kind of warranty comes with it?
It's 10 years full, and then it's prorated up to 20.
After 20?
220.
Okay.
So, and the package, like let's just say that you guys decided to do a system with us. There'll be a contract price. That is everything. That includes, that's the software that you're seeing here, unlimited seat license, unlimited people in your the homeowners. As many people want to register the system as can. It's one-time cost. It's 10 years of data. So when you buy a system from us, you've got zero AMI costs until year 11. Year 11, you're going to come back and say, do I want to buy an annual package, 5 years, another 10 years, whatever you guys want to do on the data package. And I'll give you a not-to-exceed price for budgeting as far as what the data is going to cost. So I'll say in year 11 that it's going to cost 89 cents a month, for example, per meter in year 11. Okay? That's what your cost might be. Now, he can vouch for this. The data keeps going down. So I'll give you guys a not-to-exceed price, and we know that in 11 years, the data is going to be probably a lot less than what we're getting right now.
Training is included?
We do the training. We talked a little bit about your Tyler billing interface. So we have a couple of ways to do this. Whatever your platform that you're using with the Hersey system right now, I can have our guys mimic that. So they'll take the import and export text files, and we'll make ours do exactly the same thing as what you're using right now. Meaning you don't have to go back to the billing company and ask for any modifications on that side. If you guys change billing companies, you just tell us who the new company is, they'll give us the new file definition, and we'll just generate another billing profile, and then the day that you guys go live on the new system, you just pick that Tyler billing profile instead of the one that you're using now.
How many different systems do you have that have 100% no-fail rate?
None. Everybody has stuff.
Well, I mean, do we have any that are at 80%?
Oh my gosh, no.
Do you have any there, or what?
We're in the 99s and change. 99.5.
With all the systems that you have?
Yeah.
How many municipalities do you have?
I don't know the total number off the top of my head, but I probably have done 20 or 25 just in the last year and a half, 2 years in the Midwest.
And where's home base for
We're in Colorado.
Colorado?
Yeah, we just chose years back, that we just found it better to everybody office in Boulder, because everybody gets, there's a lot of learning that goes on with our product, and technology changes a lot, so it's better for us to have everybody in the office. And then John just travels once or twice a month, out here. So, but we're in Colorado.
Take a trade-in?
What's that?
Take a trade-in?
Yeah, for your Mueller system?
Well, some system.
Yeah, no, I just did a job in southern Missouri where they had the same problem you guys were doing, so.
Do you have an estimated cost?
John, do you wanna,
We have, I've shared with Tim.
you wanna just know what it is? Basically, just as a ballpark, this is, of those 8,900 meters, 8,300, what percentage is 5/8 3/4? Okay, so for this exercise, just multiply times 360. So 8,300 times 360. Now, we also have people that can do the installs, okay? We offer financing, there's a lot of different things we can do to help you guys. It sounded like if you're doing bonds, some people will just take some bond money and add it into a project like this.
So our outside of this conversation right now, so.
Yeah. But at any rate, that's the ballpark.
But the training also includes showing our guys how to install them
Yeah,
properly.
I do 3 types of training, okay?
Okay.
I'll do it with customer service and billing, okay? And then we'll do it with, just an overview for everybody, so we know basically how the system works, and then we'll just build training. So, and we don't charge for any of that. We'll come down 2 or 3 days for the billing stuff, and I like to be on site, that first month that we're going live, okay? I want to be down here when that first process takes place, where we're taking the information from your billing system, putting it back in their water scope, and collecting the reads and doing all of that. I like to be on site personally for the first training part.
Okay, at 8,300, now, have you got any systems that are larger than ours?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Ted and John did send me a reference list, so if you guys want that sent out.
Yeah, we've,
That lists the different towns that they,
yeah,
okay.
we've got them all over the country. As far as the cellular stuff, we're probably on the forefront of the technology right now. Everybody else is limited to being 15 minutes, and they can't do any of this analytics because 15 minutes doesn't lend itself to being able to dig down and see what kind of GPMs you're doing, how people are using the water. And it's just the way that they've chosen to send their information, because it's battery hog to do it like we do it, because they all use external devices. Like the Mueller system has a water meter and a cable that comes off to a transmitter. You have to query the register in order to get that data, and if you have to do it every 1 minute, you're going to kill the battery. Ours is all resident within the water meter itself, so all we're doing is watching this tracking to see when that magnet turns, and we're tracking a magnet rotating. So we're not forcing it to turn on. That's how we're able to get these 20-year battery expectations out of the product.
On this meter, is there any kind of a leak detector on
It is. It's a little different than what you've seen on the stuff that you've got in the ground. Ours actually flashes. So if it's leaking, you'll see it'll say forward, or if the guy put it in backwards, it'll say reverse. So
What's the difference in this one and that one, other than the colors?
That was the-
Oh, that one has to
Okay,
shut off.
automatic.
Okay, that's the only difference in them.
And we've got multiple types of 5/8 3/4 inch meters, but the Altera meter gets 1/100th of a gallon per minute. It's crazy low flow. And we've done a lot of studies where we're looking at how people are using their water. Historically, back in the day, AWWA told everybody 10% of the water use is at a 1/4 gallon per minute or less. That was the number that we all used. As we started collecting data, we're finding that 7-8% is less than a 16th. And you'll be looking at 12 to 15% less than a 1/4. So just by putting a meter in the ground that has the ability to measure that low flow, you're going to be catching leaks. And it's also, the leaks let you do the alarms and all the other stuff that we're looking for so that we can alert your homeowners that there's a problem. But a meter like that, with 1/100th of a gallon per minute, it's as accurate, it's more accurate than ultrasonic meters. We've got a single jet meter as well, it's more accurate than that. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, could a rotary piston meter get 100th of a gallon per minute, I wouldn't believe it.
How close is that to what we have now? Immeasurable? Yeah, much more.
You've got a nice website too, I'll let you know. Some of us, but have been researching this issue, and I'll tell you that, I enjoyed your website. And we didn't even know, I didn't know you were coming,
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Do you have a module for your website that does payments too, or is it completely
Okay.
scattered?
We're still using the billing system for that. We're primarily, who does the billing? I still don't know. Okay. So let's just show you how easy that part is here. So you have a billings and reports section here. You pick the route that you're going to do, and let me kind of preface how we do this. A lot of people don't want to do all 8,300 all at once. So if you guys wanted to start and do a route or do, some pilots and things like that, what I would have you do in the billing system is just add another route or book or cycle, right? You add one, and then as you pull a meter from the Hersey side, just move it over to ours, and we'll call it a cellular meter reading route. And so the process is no different than if you have a new subdivision comes in and you guys decide to add another route to it. So we're just going to pull a meter from here and move it over to ours, and then when you guys have to go out and get your Hersey reads, it'll be gone. That one won't be there. You'll use our system to do it. So let's assume it's time to do it, right? So you guys kick out a text file right now out of your billing system. So when it's time, so you're going to go in and say, I want to update the Hersey system for any meter changes or whatever you guys did in between the last billing cycle. So you create the text file. I hit the browse key. It could be on your network or however you want to do it. We'll click on that, and then I do an import. That activates my system like that. So we'll bring the information down.
That's the entire system?
Yeah.
Or the route that you picked?
Well, you can do, if you want to do the whole system, you could. There's no reason you don't. If you want to do all 8,300, once you get it all done, you certainly can do it. I've got some utilities that still want to do once a week, so they'll just take their X number of meters and divide by 4 and put them into 4 different routes. It just depends on how you guys want them. Okay, so that'd be the easy way to do it. So we hit the import key. So let's just say that you come over and you have a calendar here. So let's just say that you guys really wanted to get your bill out last Friday. You can go back and click any time in history, just click that date, and you hit export, and so all of the reads are going to be from that day. So if you're trying to keep a 28, 29, 30-day cycle for all your bills, this allows you to do it simply. So you can do it today or any day back in history. So the whole process to do this, 5 minutes, it's pretty fast. And then once we generate a text file here, you're just going to send it back to the billing system just like you normally would. And then it'll upload the reads, give you your exceptions and all the other things that you guys normally would do.
Yeah, right now our range is from the 18th to the 25th.
Okay.
Well, they need to read that coming.
Okay. So do you have a 7-day window for your acceptable reads in?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we talked about earlier. You guys are using 7. I'd like to start it at a little tighter window and see how things come in. The systems that we do, we have to tweak them. Nothing's perfect. sometimes I'll have to change an antenna or do something a little bit different. But typically when we're out doing the installs, if our guys are doing it, they do 150 a day, something like that. We'll have a couple of crews that can do 150 a day. They send us the information, I look to check to see what the signal strengths are, what kind of noise issues are going on. More importantly, somebody always installs one backwards, right? It always happens. And so if we get a backflow flag, you pull it up, and that whole graph is all below zero. And so you say, hey, just go flip it around. And so we'll just go flip the meter and let them know while they're out in that area, changing meters. But that's it for the billing part of this. And I know that it's tricky because it's your baby, and I get it. And we've done enough of these where we will walk you through this and make sure that you're good and comfortable with it. Like I said, we'll be down on site the first couple of times. If you turn this loose on your, where you're going to pass the data out to the homeowners, you'll probably get initially more phone calls because there's things going on, so you may have to answer a few things, up front, but we will help you and help your customer service folks discern what's going on when someone calls up. And it's not unusual to have somebody call and say, I don't get this one, and I'll be on the phone with them and walk them through it. So.
Unless you guys have got any more questions, I'm going to kind of try to wrap this up so we can get to our citizens' concerns. That's very, very impressive.
I want to ask two questions real
Okay.
quick. First of all, you mentioned earlier about it not reading, and you said something about if they're underwater for a certain period of time. What part has to be underwater to prevent it from reading?
The antenna top.
Just the antenna?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
got people, believe it or not, that they'll put these in a drainage ditch, and when there's no water, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, there's 3 foot of water down in northern Florida, and they're wondering why it doesn't work, so we have to put a post to get this portion
Okay.
up above grade.
Well, our meter is in a low area in the yard, and sometimes water stands inside there.
It's
So I just
okay
wanted
to cover
question.
the meter part. It's
Just not
just
the
that it
antenna.
doesn't cover
Okay.
the lid.
Okay, the other
Yes,
question,
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other question was, we were talking about price, and you quoted us price, and you said earlier that those nodes, I don't know what to call them other than nodes, can fit on any meter already.
The register, Joe.
Register, I'm sorry. So if we should decide not to change meters, I'm assuming the first quote was with all new meters and everything. If we should decide not to change the meters and go with just
You
the
can
register,
save a little bit of money.
how,
Like
like
50
what,
or 50 bucks? 50
How
or
much?
60 bucks a site?
per
Yeah.
meter?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so you have the options to do any of that. What we like to do is we like to build a case because we want to know what your meters are doing now.
okay.
And so we try to do some series testing if we can. We'll put our meter in series with your existing stuff and see what the differences are between them. You guys can also send meter bases back to us, and we will test them in our NIST certified bench.
Okay.
Give you guys some ideas. Because the idea is, what's the best fit? You guys, what's the way to get the best accuracy out of your system? Some people can use the same meter base without a problem.
Okay.
Or we could even
Thank
do a phased in, where we start out with putting in the registers and then all new meters will be the new ones.
Yeah, that's, a lot of people do it that way, because they do their new construction with us, and then they're gonna phase in, 20% or 25% over the next, 4 or 5 years. But it just depends how you guys wanna do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I'd like somebody to make a motion that we move citizens' concerns to the next,
Motion.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, under citizens' concerns, we have, can I skip through the October, November leak adjustments and go straight to the citizens that are on the agenda? Is that, yeah, okay. First, we have on the agenda is Katie Brooks. She'd like to come up to the microphone and
Hey, guys.
hey,
Hi.
So I had a leak. We had a leak in our backyard at our address at 5225 North Show. So I called up here and said, hey guys, we obviously had a leak and our bill was like, I think $200. Is this something that y'all could help with since, it wasn't our fault? So she said, yeah, we should be able to help. So she said, bring your plumbing bill, make sure, we got it fixed and blah, blah. So I did all of that, and then she called back and said, actually, we can't help with that because I think they said that I wasn't tied into something. I didn't fully understand.
Are you water?
Water on the customer.
Yeah, you're not on our sewer system and everything.
Okay, and so I thought, well, and she said, well, you can try to go to the meeting and see if maybe they can consider it. And so that's why I'm here today, is to see. Because like I said, we had a leak We didn't even realize that we had it until our neighbors, all of their yards were flooded. Our yard was fine at first. And then we started seeing water, and so that had happened for like a month until we, got it fixed and everything. And so I know that one bill is like $200. I don't even know what our most recent one is, but I figure it's probably gonna be kind of bad too. And so I didn't know if we could get any kind of a break on that because, we're a family of 9, and that's gonna be a hard bill to pay. So I didn't know if y'all would ever consider that, with us not being tied into being a water-only customer.
Well, that's the only thing we legally have the ability to adjust is just from the sewer itself, because the water was used. But now I know Angela can work with you on a payment plan if you need that.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, you might want to, how do you want her to handle that as far as?
She can just come into the
Call you.
office anytime this week, and we can get her set up on a payment plan.
Okay.
But we don't have the
But yeah,
ability to adjust the water.
Yeah, we can only adjust the sewer, that's all we're allowed to do,
Okay.
so.
Yes, there's an ordinance that.
Yeah, I printed out a copy of
Oh,
it
okay.
and read it at work today to make sure I remembered how it worked.
All right, well, thank y'all.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Next is Jessica Ramirez. Oh, she's on the leak adjustments, okay.
Hi, okay, this is a problem. I have almost 1 year, me moved here to Bryan in a mobile home, Indian Spring, and I buy the home over there, but I don't know, they have some leak. In a restaurant, they have some leak, and my husband already fixing my bill, so the first month they start, I move over there, they start coming like $40, $60. And later they start coming 800, 600, like so high, but I don't know. And I pay this money, and I say they don't make sense. I ask with the people I buy the home, and they told me it's too much money. I pay for the water, and I say okay. And he opened the floor, my husband, and he see they have some leakage, so they have some fix. And I'm coming here, they have some adjustment, the for adjustment. But like in December, they come in my another bill. They come in $1,000. It's like too super high, but they have some leak outside, close with the meter in my home. And I go in the office over there for I rent the parking, and I tell them they have some leak, so they have some water over there. They never come in fixing. They never come in home check. The thing is like I'm in home like only Sundays. Just I go home, I sleep. I know in home like I don't do laundry. I don't do nothing. They don't make sense. I gotta pay $1,000 for for water. And I'm coming here. They told me I'm coming today like 6 o'clock for looking. They can have another adjustment because they don't make sense. We pay a lot of money for that. It's not my fault. And I say in the office, it's not coming fixing. They told me, oh, they already go see, but I don't know, they go or no go. And I don't know, it's because I'm here.
She had a leak earlier this year,
Right.
and we adjusted $400-something off the account. So I told her she'd have to come tonight and ask for a second time, since we only doing one per 12 calendar year.
Yeah,
Or
mostly
see
1
where-
year I pay too much money on water. You can check over there and like how many months I pay, they come in super high. And like I don't have time for coming like all the time for adjustment my bill, you know what I mean? But this is too much money.
It was Indian Springs who fixed it.
Yes.
What was the first leak? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I don't remember what the first
The
one.
letter
In
from
the
Indian
restaurant.
Springs said it was a
The
break in the
first one is
same
in the
line.
restroom. They
Oh,
have
same line.
So it was repaired, it
and
wasn't
this
repaired
leak is outside,
correctly?
close with the
No,
meter.
same line, it broke in a different location.
Oh.
Okay.
She was waiting on Indian Springs.
Yeah, it's no fixing. And my husband, he not go work this day. I got it fixed because my another bill, they gonna come in again, like high.
You say they have not fixed it yet?
Yeah, they already fixed it.
Oh,
But my
okay.
husband, because over there, I go in the office, okay? And I tell him, they told me I need to look for one plumber. I don't have time for me. I don't have time for the stay home. I don't have time for looking for one plumber. So, I ask my friends and I ask everybody, and I say, nobody over there, nobody will help. I don't have, and they don't go fixing. And my husband, he say, okay, I'm gonna work this day. I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna fix it. And he fixed that one.
Your husband fixed
Yeah,
it?
my husband fixed and I bring all the papers here, but this is not the deal, so I pay every month my rent for my parking, right? And it's supposed to be go fix that one, they don't make sense, me working only for pay like too much bill on water.
Yeah.
So what we really need to do is just make an exception
To the ordinance.
to, yeah. But
Well, not to the, we retain that right to make the exception.
That's right. So that's all we need to do is make the exception for this.
I'd make a motion to adjust our sewer accordingly, back to an average bill, and then if needed, offer a payment plan for the water that passed through the meter.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
It's already on the December
Yeah, it's
agenda.
already on
Okay.
So what is the solution?
You,
I'll contact you tomorrow afternoon and let you know how much was adjusted off the sewer charges.
Okay, thanks so much, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Ralph Johnson.
What I did was that in June, I turned a sprinkler system on, and then you guys didn't read the meters for 2 months or 3 months in there. And then on the third month when it was turned on, I got a bill for $2,000 for my water, because it was part sewer, part water. And so I immediately turned my sprinkler system off and had somebody check to verify if there was a leak or something in the system, but you know, we never found a leak, but I still didn't turn that water system back on. So what I was hoping to do is at least get a portion of the sewer removed from the bill if possible.
If it's a sprinkler system, then there's no sewer being charged for that. So
Yeah, but it's not in the sprinklers. It's run off the regular water system.
You don't have to
They have a separate meter.
Yeah, and that was one of my other performance enhancements, is I was gonna go ahead and put in a sprinkler
Meter.
one, a separate one.
Oh, so you don't have a sprinkler meter, your home meter is
just
where
one
the water
one.
is stored.
Right. Yeah, so it was $1,200 for the sewer part on that.
Is he on the agenda? Or on the, I'm sorry, the December,
I don't see him on the
Are you
leak adjustment.
listed?
but you didn't find a leak or anything to cause it?
No, I was thinking, well, maybe it's just because it was running for a minute and it was running too often or something, and maybe it was just, actually was putting out that much water. And so what I wanted to do is, move that over, and then I had our people who installed the system go in and check for leaks, and they didn't find any leaks either, so I was gonna adjust how the water was being, activated, so that it would be a little bit less often.
So this $2,000 bill, he didn't get a read or didn't produce a read for 2 months, and then it was
Well,
catch-up
since
time?
May, since, we didn't read them, they were estimated since May of this year. It went out in October, we got a read off of his meter.
Yep,
And he,
And so your water bill between May and October was lower than normal?
it was about the same. We usually run around $50 a month.
Okay.
Angela, do you have that information?
I don't have I didn't know he was coming tonight, so I don't have the documentation with me.
Yeah, I meant to bring it with me, but I misplaced it since the last meeting where I came in to hear. I came into the last board meeting, and then they pointed me at this meeting.
I think we make a motion to table it until we can look at the data.
Yeah, we need to get some
And
information.
remove any kind of disconnect notice or anything like
I can
that.
email y'all and stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we got the water being used for the sprinkler in the summer included in that too, right?
Right.
Yeah, see, this is
Yeah.
a little.
We'd have to see what it's.
If anybody wants to see it, this is the current, this is the bill for that particular thing, and it shows the monthly charges, what they approximately normally run, so you can have a comparison there, but it's not real accurate.
We'll take a look at the history since May.
Yeah, we
and-
need at
or
least a 6 month
past,
history, I think, to see what's going on.
6 to 12 months, and then we'll determine what we can do at that point.
Okay.
Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And the final person listed is, gotta get my glasses, Ron Fleming.
I was gonna say, I sent you guys a message about that, I've never met that, so I wasn't sure.
I'll send one for
Oh.
Miss Randy.
Well, sure, yeah, just come on and state your name, that's fine. That's all that's on my list here.
Okay, good to see y'all again. Not really. Really excited about, having that by the minute water reading. I think that would help us a lot, kind of figure out what's going on with us, but, we have 2.5 days where we were out of town for a wedding. Nobody was home, no leaks or anything, and we have 10 gallons about every other hour being charged to us. 7 a.m. one morning, it was 100, and then 80 gallons right after that, and then 10 gallons. But all that time, we were out of town, nobody was home. So this is our new meter that we got.
Did y'all have security cameras?
No,
Is that
I mean,
different?
this is different. We came 2 months ago, and our bill was like November,
We had a
$1,400 bill.
water bill,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other one had the big water,
but no leak.
pool,
Yeah.
big pool that we filled up. No, I'm messing with you.
Oh, yeah.
I remember.
Could have filled a couple pools.
Yeah, a couple pools.
Right, yeah, we had like 113,000 gallons of water in 2.5 months.
Yeah, we remember you.
Okay. well,
Even now, it's reading like, at weird times, like at 3 a.m., it's reading like 400
Or
gallons.
500 gallons an hour.
Have y'all dye tested your toilets, all of them, overnight? Not just within 1 hour, just overnight? dye
No,
tested?
no, but, in 2 days, the last 2 days, I had to shut off a toilet this morning because I flushed it and it messed up. We have 4 toilets, and then I had to shut off a toilet yesterday because it messed up. So I got 2 toilets to fix tonight for some
Yeah.
reason.
So that would be why you're running during the night, the week prior to the morning?
Well, that's just started because when I flushed it, it wouldn't fill back up. So I got 2 toilets that I didn't know if y'all were gonna water pressure test at my house last night or what. Because I got 2 toilets that just crapped out in the same day that I know were not leaking for amount of time, and a sink. All went out in the same day, or within 2 days. But yeah, a lot of these are from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. where we're using 500 gallons an hour. And I went out and tested before I came. Our new meter that you gave us is digital, and I can turn on my water hose when I'm filling my pool, and I'll look at the meter and tell me 3.6 gallons per minute. So I'll add, I'll time my swimming pool, how much an hour, and then I'll do it. It's like 3.6 times 60 is like 219 or something. So I went and turned my sink on, and I can get like 1 point something out of the sink, gallons per minute. Turned the shower on all the way, and it was 2 point something gallons per minute. I can't add up to where I can get any more out of a fixture than 214 gallons a minute, yet I'm getting billed for, 510 gallons an hour. My house won't put out that much water in an hour, 510 gallons.
I can tell you that toilets, if they're left on and that continues to run and they're full flow running, they can run up to 600 gallons per hour.
How, with that little line, but my water hose, that's a 5/8 line, wide open, won't run but 3.6.
Not sure of it.
But a toilet will, But anyway, it's another ridiculous bill, $400 and something for November bill. And, we came last time with a graph that showed our last 3 years' water bills, all around 4,000 gallons a month. And then we had the last 5 years at this house, their water bills, and it was all, around 4,000 gallons. So, it's just,
It's just the
I don't know what
numbers
it
are
is.
skewed all the different times, and it'll be times that we're not home. We have a lot of usage.
and see, I
during the
did
day.
accidentally leave the water hose in the pool overnight one night, and I talked to him the next day, he told me, and it's reading 520 gallons, 510 gallons, 550 gallons an hour. And I know that water hose will only put out 3.6 gallons a minute, is what she's saying.
You don't have a nozzle on that hose, do you? Is
No.
it open hose?
Open hose. And,
Is
my hose says.
Typically, a 5/8 hose it'll generate more than 10 gallons a minute.
Well, my meter that you have up there is telling me, 3.6 gallons per minute.
Have we been out to test the meters, look at it?
They've already
They
got
go
it
in.
in.
And it's still doing that?
Yeah, this is the new one, and it feels like we're getting the same stuff as the last one, but,
Is it, both of them were the same kind of digital meter?
no.
Last one was analog, this one's digital. And
Okay.
then you guys have a spreadsheet in front of you, you
That's all of them.
Timber Creek.
Are you planning on taking her out, taking her to Hot Springs for the weekend and y'all not being home?
Yes, sir.
No, really?
That's what we did.
I mean, we did that for a wedding on the 5th and 6th.
What I was getting at is where you go and turn, with your toilets, turn the water off of all of them.
While you're gone, is what you're
Are
saying.
you planning any overnight trips here in the near future?
Oh, so we can test
planning.
it?
Yeah, so you can see what.
We can go out of town. You know.
It'd be cheaper than the bill.
But, you know, I'm pretty OCD and I know there's nothing been wrong. with my
He's in
toilet,
construction,
you know.
so we would have noticed.
I did remodel, you know, I was heating up a biscuit this morning and I flushed the toilet, went in the living room or kitchen, heated up a biscuit, and by the time I sat down on the couch, I was like, why hasn't that toilet stopped running? I went in there and I lifted off the lid and it wouldn't fill back up, turned it off. Well, now, every time I brush my teeth, I shut my water off instead of leaving the water on, because I've gotten so freaking, you know, like, I want to figure this out so bad. I don't even use water when I'm brushing my teeth. I'll get it wet, turn it off, brush my teeth, and I'm like, you know, kids, hey, how long have you been in that shower? It's been 2 minutes, you know, let's go.
Well, even if, you know, if you have an older flapper, sometimes they deteriorate and they'll leak a little bit at a time and then it'll kick on. And you don't realize that that the water is leaking out through the flapper until it kicks on if you hear it.
Right.
So that could explain some of the periods of time when it just runs for a little bit and it quits because it fills back up again. Then it may take another 10 hours before it runs out enough to kick on again. If
We're
you're
talking
not
about
there.
10 gallons an hour, every other hour almost, when we're out of town. And then 500 gallons, or 300 gallons in a couple of those hours.
I'm not suggesting you do this, but have you had a plumber come out, or
I
are you a
do, my best
plumber?
friend's a master plumber.
And what does he
He's
tell you?
come out and said everything looks great.
Did he check all the toilets to see
He
if he
checked
found everything?
yes ma'am, he checked everything else, checked my meter, had it turn on just like we did, turn on different things in the house while he was out at the meter and while I was out at the meter. We looked at everything.
Have you noticed any change in your electric bills lately? Have you checked your TMP valve on your water heater?
That was about the
Our
last
electric
thing.
bills are running average, they're only $200 a month, so.
Yeah, we're gonna levelize billing?
We just got on levelized bills.
So they wouldn't
Before, the
notice it.
highest was like
Can-
$475.
I'm just asking, curious, can you go and inspect to see where your TMP valves are draining to? Just to make sure you're not seeing a lot of wet coming out of your.
Yeah,
water
if you have an
heater?
element sticking or something, it'll make it build up pressure
You're
and
not-
release water.
You don't have like an instantaneous water heater?
No,
Okay.
no.
No.
We definitely want to figure out what the
two water
issue
heaters.
is. I mean, I'm just saying, so far, we cannot find it at the house.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Have you noticed any kind of change in your water temperature, like in your sinks and stuff? It's all of a sudden gotten hotter or anything?
No, we moved in June and, I mean, to me, everything's been about the same.
You don't have a circulation pump on your water heater, do you? Instant hot water?
No.
That's all the troubleshooting I can think of.
well, that's what we thought. We thought it was a meter because, you know, it was an analog meter, but we're still seeing the same readings.
Tim, do you have any ideas?
It's a lot of water. The odds of 1 meter being wrong, not very good odds. The odds of 2 meters being wrong, really.
So there's a third
But
meter.
there's nowhere here, there's quite a few people in there having the same problem.
But there's no water like in the basement or out
We
in the
don't have a
yard?
basement,
Here's
we're on a
something.
slab, the
I
thing, the triangle doesn't move.
I ran into somebody who was actually selling their house and they had an outrageous water bill. Swore they didn't have a leak. They actually had their home inspection like 6 days before that. They're on a slab house. They turned a fixture on and that thing started leaking. My guess is something under the slab was broken. And I'm not saying that's what happened to you guys. That's just the one experience I've had.
We moved to here in June, so the house was inspected that time.
And, you know, all the guy, you know, we pulled their records for the last 5 years, and everything was, they used water about like we did at our other house, you know? And for something just to start happening when we move in, you know, is it haunted or something? And I thought it was just us until we came to that last meeting, and there was a lot of people in here that were getting bills, you know, they've been in houses for 20 years and they were getting bills.
I can show you about 80% of those clients that was here that night have returned receipts with, they had fixed leaks.
Really?
They called me back and apologized for their actions.
80%.
We can give
About
you guys
80%.
details if you just want to try it.
Yeah, I mean, we have, she puts,
Food coloring, that's what I
the
use.
fabulous, whatever.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
I
I
do
mean,
spice
there's,
food coloring.
I noticed, and there's a little blue thing in the toilet, you know, whenever I put the
Yeah.
tank lid on.
I'm trying to help figure it out.
You-
for guys.
Yeah.
You got a program that shows you how much, or when your water's being used, apparently, right?
Hourly,
Well,
hourly.
I've been calculating it, I've been going on the Mueller system and getting it
Yeah.
in a spreadsheet. That's why I've been noticing that it just doesn't line up with when we're there.
Yeah, and most of the time, like a lot of it is from 2 in the morning until 5 in the morning when nobody's awake.
And if the toilet was
Yeah.
leaking, wouldn't it do that the whole time, like all day, not in these weird hours? Like,
Well, the difference would be if you use the toilet during the day and flush it, then it's gonna take a long, you know, if it's leaking out the flapper, that sort of thing, you'll be flushing it more often, and
But
so
you'd
it
hear
wouldn't
it.
probably leak. It wouldn't leak enough to fill back up, but at
But they'd
nighttime it
show,
would.
it'd be showing them that they've got a continuous flow of water.
It's just
Yeah.
jumps, like sometimes there'll be 10 and it goes to 500, or there'll be a 70. It's not consistent, so it's not, all my analyticals, I've looked, and like I said, like the time we were gone, it doesn't make sense at the time.
And you're on the
Yeah.
sewer or,
You know, if it was like that, we'd have 510 every 3 hours or something, you know, instead of like 10, 10, 10 for all day long, and then at 7 in the morning it jumps to 100, and then 80 after that, and then 10, 10, 10, 10, you know. It's like every other hour, every 2 hours, it's 10, and then it'll jump up to 110. It's
And
just-
the analog is matching the,
The reads we
I
get.
mean,
It-
I can
it-
send you their consumption report if you want to look into it more. You guys can take a look at it.
There's 2 tablets in each package, just tell you how to test it. I thought it was you I'd do it overnight though, since y'all have freeze during the night, put the tablets in there while you're sleeping.
Now, if we had your system, we wouldn't be listening to them.
We were just talking, if you guys want, we'll give you one.
$360, I'll buy it.
No, I just said, we'll just give you one if he wants to put it in, because you solved your problem in a day.
Yeah, but then we'd have to have the reading system to go with it, it wouldn't do us
Well,
any good.
you've already got the reading system.
Oh,
we can do that.
No, I'm just throwing something out if you guys were, because I'm a data geek, and so I love.
That'd be a great way
I
to
think that's
test that
a,
thing.
if that would work, I think that's a good idea.
But we got.
That'd be a great selling point for the system.
Just,
We'll be your testers, I mean, we should figure it out.
What's the feasibility of that, Tim? I mean, is it, if we just decide, if we were to apply one of those, no?
But
I mean, if we
He
replace his
said
existing
he'd give
meter
us one
with one of these
to use on their house.
to get their analytics on their house to try to figure out what's going on.
can we do it?
We can do it, but like he just said, he had 2 toilets leaking, we don't know how long it's been leaking. If they put their system
I'll
in,
tell
he
you how long
fixes.
it's been leaking.
Yeah.
The
If they
one,
put his system in and he's fixed his toilet, it's gonna be,
Yeah,
that's
no,
not gonna be
you're right.
correct.
I think that's best.
But it would still,
that's all.
then it would answer that question that that was it and there's nothing else going on.
Conversation that needs to
Jimmy
happen.
Brown Tree.
Yeah.
Five.
I'd like to see that be done.
Yeah,
I would too.
I would too.
Why don't y'all try to work that out?
I said, we'll talk.
After,
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
after he gets
That'd
everything
be
taken care of, he
great.
wants to take care of, and we see what's happening after that, then if he's still having a problem, maybe you could put that in.
Now, that will show,
That'd be a good testimonial.
We see it
Sure.
all the time, and so the intermittent ones.
No way,
we're trying to
it's gonna be a second
That's
one, but
what
he's,
got
now he's
going on.
gotta bring
And
out the,
I'll bet you
provide
that
the,
toilet, and it's happening.
who fixed it?
You know it's happening.
toilet.
Well, one of them was leaking on the floor, and it hadn't been leaking there that long, because it had the glue in it. The glue's all over the floor. So it hadn't been leaking that long because, well, it might have happened when my kids were gone for 2 days and came back.
Was it coming up out of the toilet?
No, it was dripping, I think a line on the toilet started dripping, or
If
the,
it's not the supply line, it's the wax ring. If the wax ring dries out and cracks, then it could have been leaking and just going down until the point where it fed itself through one of the cracks.
okay, well, I'm fixing to pick up a supply line, if that supply line don't fix it, I'll know, because like I said, she puts all this stuff in the back of the toilet, and that's how I knew it was leaking, because there was glue on the ground. And that hadn't been there very long. You know, we have, our house cleans once a month by a lady, and I know that glue wasn't there. And then the other toilet that was leaking, it was actually wouldn't fill back up.
Because the flapper wouldn't close off the drain.
Yeah,
It happened
yeah,
this
flapper
morning
one.
whenever I flushed the toilet,
Yeah.
and I realized it in 5 minutes.
Well, I think this is a great next step to try to,
Yeah.
once you get those fixed, that will answer if that was the issue or not.
I mean, if you have a leak, you definitely want to fix it. It's
Yeah.
just that, the meter wasn't spinning like you said it would be spinning whenever.
Yeah, when we checked it, when me and you checked it, it wasn't spinning. It wasn't checked it, when my buddy come over for an hour, we messed around with it, it never spun, you know?
Yeah.
So, I just
So
don't-
have you fixed the toilets? Are
We're
they,
going to Lowe's right now. and get-
okay,
And
so,
then I have a sink that just started dripping today, just a little bit, and it won't shut off, and I'll call my buddy to come over and put some washers in that thing.
I would suggest you not buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, well,
you
all
might
this
get,
happened in 2 days, I'm telling you. And, you know, if I was worried about that happening all the time, I probably wouldn't even tell y'all that, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty meticulous about all my stuff, and I know that blue hadn't been on the floor that long, you know?
well, when you get the stuff fixed, won't you get back on the agenda for,
Next month.
Next month.
And that way we can make an adjustment accordingly.
Well, that way we'll know whether it's taken care of.
Just as a side note, go check your water heater and just check to make sure
Yeah.
your temperature and pressure valve's not popping off.
Okay.
Sometimes, how old do you know your water heater is?
One of them was replaced in the last couple of years, and the other one's probably 10.
Where are they located at?
Yeah, you,
One's in the laundry room, and the other one's right in front of the kids' bedroom.
Okay, so if they had a leak in the tank, you would know it.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I think this is a next step, but we do need to get to the bottom of what's going on.
Yeah, I'd like to, especially before summer comes around, and, you know, I've got, $2,000 a month deal. Because I like to water the yard, you know, the front yard, and now I'm not watering nothing else. I'll dig that grass up, put some rocks up there, I guess. You know, I don't have a bill higher than this, except for my mortgage, you know, it's year out.
How many toilets do you have in your home?
4.
4? I'd buy 4 new flappers and put them in all the toilets. That way you'll have that part taken care of.
Right.
Well,
Well, his honey-do list is.
Yeah. I mean, that's a suggestion, but.
we wanna solve this problem as bad as, I mean, I know how bad y'all wanna solve it.
Yeah. You know, like I said, I don't even use the water to brush my teeth anymore. I feel like I'm getting charged 10 times the amount for every drop that comes out, you know?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
You guys next, go ahead.
Oh.
Scott Parker, Scott Hill, and we're gonna talk about this. I can give a success story, and I don't know if y'all do the meters in Garland County. Do y'all? They must have a system like what y'all are trying to sell, because I had a leak that the city contacted me about. It was not on my sewer leak, on my sprinkler leak, it was the main water coming to the house. And they noticed over a 5-month period that I had so many gallons of water per minute, just constant over the whole day period, even when we were gone. And they contacted me, I got a leak detector guy come out, spent $800 to find the leak. It's leaking on the main line coming to the house underneath. Took them forever to, probably 8 hours, with pressurize it, and they finally found the leak coming through the house. I was thinking about you. But the city contacted me and told me, hey, you're paying, more than what you're supposed to be paying. You probably have a leak, you should check it out. But they had a system that had it. Now, what I've got right now, and the reason I'm here this evening, is a $5,000 bill on the sprinkler side of the restaurant at Chick-fil-A. And it would take, based on the previous usage on that sprinkler system, on y'all's data that I pulled, 8 years to come up with $5,000 worth of water to run through that meter to sprinkle, the restaurant. But in 1 month's reading, it says I owe $5,000, and that accumulates to, is it 7, Tim? Good to meet you, by the way. You too. I've been corresponding email, and I don't envy you folks in the water department with all this stuff, because when I pull the data for the last, 8 years, there's a lot of missing stuff that hadn't been picking up. So I don't even believe, that this $5,000 is owed, to the city, except, you guys are saying, because there's a lot of missing data points that it never picked up over the years, and these are the years over here. So it would take 8 years to come up with $5,000 worth of use on this water meter. So I'm here just to say, hey, is there any, and I know looking at, I'm here because it was suggested that, hey, you bring your grievance here, but y'all's document that you adopted in 2015 says there's no legal adjustments to the sewage. But, and I did have a leak, and Tim, I did, went back, I've got the leak fixed, and,
It is irrigation though, right?
it is irrigation side, and, but running back through, you know, the detection of when we saw it and when it was, you know, fixed, and when we shut off the valve, because I noticed the leak, I shut off the valve, because I know water leaking is a bad thing, and it can cost you a lot of money real quick, so we shut off the valve, but I can only account for maybe 2 days of it leaking, not 7 days, like, you know, running the math that you sent me in that email.
I think you told me it was leaking for 7 days.
I guesstimated first, but I went back, checked it with my staff, and, you know, he walks by that particular area where it was leaking, because it was leaking in the back parking lot area where we wouldn't readily see it, and it was a bubbling brook, and, you know, so we finally saw it, and so it was maybe 2 days, and 2 days worth of time on a 1-inch water line, you know, how many gallons per minute can you lose on a 1-inch water line? It's like 15 gallons per minute.
I think it was 15 and 60 PSI.
I don't think you can get up to $5,000 worth on a couple of days leak. I mean, filling up that swimming pool that we have here in the city of Bryant, that's probably 100,000 gallons. You could probably fill that thing up 10 times over and not spend $5,000 filling that up 10 times over. We would have had, you know, more than a little bubbling stream.
So, yeah, a 1-inch line could do every bit of 30 gallons a minute. So it's a noticeable amount of water.
To the $5,000 point over either.
Yeah, I'd have to, you know, obviously depending on how many, so there's 14, 40 minutes in a day. So that's 43,000 gallons that you can emit in this time.
Does 43,000 gallons in a day's time equal, how much is it per gallon?
You gotta remember myself, I should know that.
But if you look on what I just handed you out, it shows a whole lot of periods in those months where there was no indication of any use on that meter. And if that's happening across the city, y'all could pay for this system over here that they're talking about, because you're not picking up data and you're not sending out timely accounts receivable to your customers. And I feel bad for the family of 9, you know, that has a budget, you know, and I'm a restaurant, and, you know, yeah, but I don't want to throw away money if I don't have to, if this is inaccurate.
And you have the Chick-fil-A?
What's that?
You have Chick-fil-A?
I do.
Okay.
And I know the point that you just made. I mean, I'm a big business, I'm not the family of 9, but I want to, you know, I want to make sure that this is an accurate bill, and if there's any forgiveness for.
And your domestic and irrigation are metered separately.
They are. And my water bill for the restaurant, for some reason, around 2016, it started going up from like $600 a month to closer to $1,000 a month, and we've been paying $1,000 a month for our regular water usage, you know, and we stay current, and of course you'd shut the water off if I didn't stay current.
Make everybody mad.
I could my wife.
Because it's irrigation only and we're limited to only making sewer adjustments, I'll move that this committee table it and send it to council.
Yeah. Well, why table it?
Or
just send it to council.
Just send it to council.
Yeah, I'll second that we send it to council.
They have a lot more leeway than we do, guys.
Okay.
All in favor of that?
One question I would like to ask you, the spaces where there's no reading, there's no values there. Did you not receive a bill for that month?
No, I got bills, and some of them were $35 a month, some of them were $60 a month. And they just gave an average, I guess, and.
A minimum bill.
The usage said 0?
Right.
Okay, but you knew you used water that month?
No, it's in the winter, not irrigating.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right.
But say,
But some of the summer months should have had a bigger reading.
Right.
And so the truth's somewhere in the middle. I mean, it's not a $5,000 bill. I had some leakage for, maybe 2 days, maybe 3. But from the customer's perspective, if you have a system that you can alert, because, think about some of these traveling nurses or something, if they are on a slope and they have a leak in their house and you can't alert them, they could have a pretty big bill in a 3-month period or
That
6-month period if they didn't turn the water off in the street.
Have you repaired the?
Yes, it's been repaired, and I've got a copy of the receipt from where it's been
But
repaired.
guys-
And it's been turned off since 31 October, when I manually turned it off at the street, and I haven't run the sprinkler system since.
see, believe it or not, our system is supposed to do that.
I believe it.
Right.
It's supposed to do a lot of stuff.
Right. But anyway, I appreciate y'all's time and the opportunity to meet a bunch of people. I know this young man up here. But, and what's your name, sir?
Madison McIntyre.
Madison. Good meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Might as well see the rest of them.
Wade Boone.
Wayne Boone.
Bob Griffin.
Observed it.
Alan Case, my daughter Olivia worked for you when she was a senior in high school.
Oh, he was awesome.
The hoop skills.
And
That's
your
it.
name, ma'am?
Linda Leverett.
Linda Lamb.
Linda Leverett,
Okay.
Jack knows them.
And I know this guy.
Yeah, I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. So good. All right. Well,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for coming
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Are you?
I hate to say it because, citizens, but much as it does not do.
Yeah, she's been, he's back a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
It needs to go away.
Still under citizens' concerns, we have the October and November leak adjustments. I guess that have all the receipts that we can vote on in mass. Any questions about any of these?
Everybody has proof and it's everybody's first adjustment.
Except for the Ramirez, and I think you guys were gonna go ahead and let her.
Yes.
I'll make
But
the
stress to her when you do talk to her, that from now on it'll be once a year and that's it.
Thought y'all would be, used to be funny, Mark Grimmett's on here.
Denied.
Okay, if there's no questions, then I'll make a motion to accept. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, now back up to where we were under projects. Ted?
Yeah, he's gonna get that to
Tim?
As far as CAO, not huge change from last time. We're gonna do one more 90-foot open cut this year, over in Gus's Loop, and then we're gonna pop over, like I said, to Stivers for the facility next year. We're still working with Chris and RJ and about their current study. They've already identified some stuff, so we'll move forward with getting some of that stuff contracted out next year also. That's about the only update on that stuff. The pipe per linear foot has gone up $4. So, but we have,
What size is that?
it's 8-inch sewer pipe for the pipe person. Well, we have over 6,000 feet of it, so we'll be fine for next year.
Okay, what about Saline Regional Public Water Authority?
Yeah, so we've been having 2 meetings a month. At our last meeting, which was actually quiet for a while, we basically ironed out our bylaws as well as applied for grant monies with the county that's part of the ARP loans. We applied for, to reiterate, it's a $140 million project. There's 8 partners in it, us along with Benton, Shannon Hills, Woodland Hills, East End's in it, Salem Water Users in it, and Southwest is in it. We think it's going to be like an 8-year project. We're starting to apply for the loans for it now since all the partners are in. The first step was to get some what the county had. We applied for 10. We hope to get more because there was still money left on the table. So there's a possibility that we could get even more money. 10 doesn't sound like a lot, but there's also state money that'll be available for it. And then also there is a good chance that there could be some ARNC loans that are incredibly low, like 1.1%. Hopefully we'll get some of those. So we're going through the funding mechanism of trying to get the money in place for it. If not, we will get loans to do it. And there may even be loan forgiveness at some point on those. So that's where we kind of stand on that. That was our first step. And then we've got a financial advisor that's helping us go ahead and apply for some more loans on that. So more to come. We'll hopefully go back to a monthly schedule, and then we'll have updates as we go on that. So, any questions?
So we could see water in 8 years?
That's probably, a fair assessment if everything proceeds and we get the loan going through to it, so.
Also under projects was the Tyler user interface.
So Tyler, we had a meeting with Tyler the other day about setting up the interface between the water billing and us and some of the Mueller portal stuff. They're just getting background information at this point in time from us and then making contact with Mueller. I did tell them good luck getting the information you're looking for. But they kind of wanted to move a little bit of fast and furious, and I said put the brakes on because I'm not doing this for the next 8 months next year, so we're going to make sure this is 100% accurate before this happens. So that's where we're at with them right now. So, and I think
Okay, under reports, we have the Mueller system upgrade.
yeah. So, just for numbers' sakes, 4,520 of the nodes have been installed, 1,268 are left to be installed. Out of the original 1,000 that were installed the very first time, they put the wrong firmware and the wrong timestamp in them, so those did not report this month. So we were expecting somewhere between 1,800, 2,000, 1,500 that we'd have to manually read, and we're into the 3,000s again. So we were working on that. I also learned that the infrastructure that was installed only covers 57.7% of the city. So we have to install 9 more DC repeaters. They are at the shop right now. They will be installed. Hopefully that covers the rest of the city. But being true to form is one thing after another after another.
So we're just spinning our wheels on it.
They hold all the power.
Are we paying them any money?
We have paid them for the infrastructure that has been installed.
I mean, right now, though, are we paying them anything?
We haven't paid for any of this upgrade at this point.
Okay.
What is our contract status?
We didn't sign a contract for the upgrade. That is where we're at with Mueller. No, it's not ideal. Are we gonna get through it? Yes, it's fine now.
The last thing is water billing update.
Same thing. Like I said, it's just gonna be 3,000
Manual.
manual read meters.
Do you want to report some good news about your loss?
Oh, yeah, so the water loss, we, year to date, we were thinking we're gonna be about the 18% mark. We're right around 11 to 15%, so we're actually under the national average, which is good.
Good.
It's real good. So, just a side note, which doesn't really fit into any of this, the water department installed what they call a blue fusion thermal stratification system on the south tank. So basically what it'll do in the south tank, it'll keep the water mixed, and if we ever have to inject chlorine or something like that, we have that option also. So, nobody noticed any difference in their water, did they? So, they did a good job. I guess that's it, that's stuff.
That's everything on except I believe Linda made a motion that we elect officers or nominate officers.
Well, chairman and vice chair.
Yeah, nominate the chairman and vice chairman for
This is our meeting.
2022.
Well, I think Alan is the vice chairman. Is that not right this year? You not remember?
I think that is correct.
Okay, I thought it was too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I think I missed a meeting. I think
Well,
we'll take over
the
for
very first meeting that we had, or one of the first ones, when we were still doing it by phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I chaired the meeting because I think Madison was out of town or didn't have a the agenda printed or something.
That's right, I didn't have the agenda in front of me.
That's right.
Okay, that's right, I remember that now.
Well, I nominate, yeah, that's the word I like. Alan to step up to chairman this year, next year.
I accept.
Okay, do we have a nomination for vice chair?
Usually we rotate, but I can't remember who.
Yeah. Doesn't
I'd nominate Kathy Barber, she's not here.
She and I usually do.
I second.
Okay, third.
That's all I got.
Good deal.
Okay, do we, all in favor?
Aye.
Now do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna hit you.
Dirty, no good,